total violation of the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. But now they're public. Okay, you expose our clergy response teams? We'll just admit it. Here it is.
Now, thanks to last year's elimination of the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act. That forbid U.S. troops from policing on American soil. If martial law were enacted here at home, like depicted in the movie The Siege, easing public fears and quelling dissent would be critical. And that's exactly what the Clergy Response Team, as it's called, helped accomplish in New Orleans.
Jeff, the primary thing that we say to anybody is let's cooperate and get this thing over with, and then we'll settle the differences once the crisis is over.
Such clergy response teams would walk a tightrope between the needs of the government versus the wishes of the public.
In a lot of cases, these clergy would already be known in the neighborhoods in which they're helping to defuse that situation.
For the clergy, one of the biggest tools that they will have in helping calm the public down or obey the law is the Bible itself, specifically Romans 13.
Because the government is established by the Lord, you know, and that's what we believe in the Christian faith. That's what's stated in the Scripture.
Civil rights advocates believe the amount of public cooperation may depend largely on how long they expect a suspension of their rights might last. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12 reporting.
You know, it's not wrong to have the preacher secretly hired to tell you to go to a camp and to do what the government tells you. And, you know, it's not wrong to have your guns taken. I mean, it's of the Lord. Government's produced by the Lord. Hitler said that. Romans 13, got to do it. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And if you don't like any of this, then you're a paranoid crazy. We'll be right back. Here's another one. America's Secret Police, MSNBC. Intelligence experts warn the proposal to merge two Pentagon intelligence units could create an ominous new agency. And the head of cybersecurity just resigned 3 weeks ago saying the Pentagon and Homeland Security are taking over the Internet and it's a threat to freedom in America. So their own guy's quitting, saying this takeover's happening. All the radio and TV in the nation under the emergency alert system in 96, under a federal law and executive order, FEMA is wired into the transmitters themselves and cable to take over all the systems and broadcast anytime they want. Before, the stations would tune to a signal themselves. Now that's out of their hands. Here is the text of H.R. 645, National Emergency Centers Establishment Act. This says the clergy response teams will run these with the feds. The local police will be part of it. They will have medical care, a nightly movie. This is exactly how we reverse engineered it before they announced this and said this is what the camps will look like. They're going to advertise as they make us all homeless with controlled economic collapse like we want to go to the FEMA camps. And so that's how they're advertising these as a wonderful place you want to go to and that the pastors are going to be there. And so that's how they first advertise them. As things collapse. New legislation authorizes FEMA camps in the United States. Here is Wall Street Journal. KBR awarded Homeland Security contract worth up to $385 million to build 3 1 million person FEMA camps in the United States. It says the ICE detention and removal operations program can be used for illegal aliens and for U.S. citizens and for other emergencies. Here's the New York Times. Halliburton subsidiary gets contract to add temporary immigration detention centers. Just like under Rex 84, the documents came out in the 80s. They said the cover would be for illegal aliens, but it would be really a martial law takeover plan to suspend the Constitution and take over the media. So there's the New York Times we have saved up on prisonplanet.com. Also, George Bush reopened all the Japanese and German prisoner of war camps in the U.S. and put water in, light in, and then just have them set up and ready. That was in the CBS News. Bush to preserve World War II internment camps. So there's that article. Now I thought I would go over executive orders for you. Executive orders. In fact, you can just Google Executive Order 11,000. This has been reaffirmed by every subsequent president. Assessing emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Labor. And this is just one of the executive orders. You can go read 11,000 for yourself, allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. And see, how's it being introduced now? Oh, we've got bills for compulsory national service. Oh, if you want to go to high school and college, 18 to 25, you'll have to serve. And, oh, we're going to have a Green Corps, and as society implodes, we're going to give you a national ID card that has some money credits on it. This is how they introduce you. See, they're introducing it all. They've denied they're building all this for all these decades. Now as they unveil it, they're putting their PR spin on it. So Executive Order 10,990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control of highways and seaports. That's been reaffirmed under PDD 51, under the John Warner Defense Authorization Act and others. Executive Order 10,995 allows the government to seize and control the communication media. That's now been put in by the emergency alert system. Executive Order 10,997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. That's been reaffirmed in all the other laws. Executive Order 10,998 allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, and vehicles of any kind, and total control over all highways, seaports, and waterways. Go read it for yourself. Executive Order 10999 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. Executive Order 11,000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. Executive Order 11,001 allows the government to take over all health, education, welfare functions. What's happening through the imploded economy that the foreign central banks are engineering? See, they make you be beholden to the government. Designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. That goes on through the Selective Service. Executive Order 11003 allows the government to take over all airports, aircraft, including commercial aircraft. Remember when they shut down all flights after 9/11? Executive Order 11004 allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, designate areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations. Remember Louisiana, Mississippi, Katrina? Executive Order 11005 allows the government to take over all railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities. Executive Order 11,051 specifies the responsibility of the Office of Emergency Planning and gives authorization to put all executive orders into effect in times of increased international tensions and economic or financial crises. Executive Order 11,310 grants authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plans set out in executive orders, to institute industrial support, to establish judicial and legislative liaison, to control all aliens, to operate penal and correctional institutions, and to advise and assist the President. So that's your FEMA camps. Executive Order 11,049 assigns emergency preparedness functions to federal departments and agencies, consolidating 21 operational executive orders issued at 15-year period. Executive Order 11,921 also allows the federal emergency preparedness to develop plans to establish control over the mechanisms of production and distribution of energy sources. See how Obama's now firing the head of GM and saying they'll fire more? They're just setting the precedents. All this set up for decades, now coming to a head now. See, this isn't just in executive orders now. Now it's announced on the news how it's for your own good. But if you don't like it, Glenn Beck says you should be arrested, and it doesn't exist. Allows the Federal Emergency Preparedness Agency to develop plans to abolish and establish control over the mechanisms of production and distribution of energy sources, wage, salaries, credit, and the flow of money in U.S. financial institution in any undefined national emergency. It also provides that when a state of emergency is declared by the President, Congress cannot review the action for 6 months. That's been, PDD 51 says never. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has broad powers in the event of every aspect of the nation. General Frank Salazindo, chief of FEMA's Civil Security Division, stated in a press conference that he saw FEMA's role as the new frontier of protection of individual government leaders from assassination and or civil military installations, from sabotage and attack, as well as prevention of dissident groups from gaining access to U.S. opinion or a global audience in times of crisis. FEMA powers were consolidated by President Carter to incorporate the National Security Act of 47 and to expand that. So you heard them in a public press conference, as well as the prevention of dissident groups from gaining access to U.S. opinion.